live from the Purple Cow Branding Studios.
Welcome to Network Today. I'm Sheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're here to take you from meeting people to
making money
faster.
Way faster.
I know. And this episode is really going to help people do that. So first, just know what our annual topic is. We want you to stop doing what you've been doing the way you've been doing it. So it's called Networking Stop. That's right. Networking Stop. That's the annual theme. And we want it to be a relationship building time. And you always say we want to do what with the mind?
We've got to change the networking mindset.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to help you do this. We collectively are going to help you do this today as we talk about networking icebreakers. I got some really bad ones here and some really good ones. So
I got some really good ones because I think I needed help on this area. So again, that's what I love about the show is that we've got to do the research. We got to study.
That's right.
We got to continue to get better.
That's right.
And I did my homework this week.
Good for you. I did too. And I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like about what I found in some of the icebreakers. So just to break the ice in this episode,
okay,
I want to know what you think is the worst icebreaker ever.
I think the worst one is, nice to meet you, Sheryl. What do you do for a living?
I do too. And let me tell you.
Ugh. You know, so bad.
It's because they had no thought process. They didn't prep. And they're regurgitating what they thought they were told to do, right? By probably somebody who's a terrible networker.
Right.
So, and what they're trying to do, this is just how I feel about it. They're trying to get a jump pass past knowing you and me. They don't really want to know you. If they're asking that question right out of the gate, they don't want to know you. They just want to sell you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
They put no thought into it, and they're just there about themselves, thinking about themselves. And like you said, they want to sell you something.
That's right. So let's kind of work through this list of the 30 icebreakers listed on themuse.com. So I Googled networking icebreakers. This came up. It's a list of 30. Under the classics, so they open up with these top 5 that are under the classics section. And the second one there is, what do you do? And I'm like, why would they even encourage people to say that? That should be on the list of what not to do.
Not to do. Absolutely.
So they have some good ones here, but that wasn't one of them. Number 1 under the classics was, what's your favorite conversation starter at a networking event? I think just coming out and asking that. And you had one.
Well, I like the one, is this your first time here, and what brought you here?
Yeah.
Who brought you here?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like, what part of town did you come from? And so you can start getting into, if you're in Addison and they're up in Frisco, and you're in Frisco. Do you have kids? Because that's such a great kid community, amazing thing. So it allows a personal conversation.
Right.
To begin, as opposed to just give me your business card next.
Right. Yeah.
So here are a couple of others under classics. So what brought you here today? Hi there, I'm Michelle. What are you passionate about? Well, that's a good open a can of worms that you may not want to have open. How would you feel about that if somebody asked you that?
Well, I think again the sentence is incomplete. You say tell me about your job and what you're passionate about. Tell me what your favorite hobby is that you're passionate about. Yeah. But just saying what are you passionate about? Yeah.
No, I didn't want to know that. I did not want to know that. And then, and this is a good one. This is probably Paul Hittner's. What's your story?
What's your story?
Just give me a story. I want to know. So we'll go through this list as we go through the show. So here's what you can expect, especially if you're new. Right, we're going to talk about a grand slam. That's what's coming up next. That's our success story of the week. Then after that, we've got an outstanding guest that's going to shed outstanding light on this subject and really help us dive into some great things that you can put in your back pocket. If you forget, if you're having a vacuous moment, you can just pull that out and say, ooh, hey, I got some good icebreakers here. And then we're going to give you some action items here at the end. All right, so stay tuned. When we come back, we're talking about our grand slams.
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purplecowbranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
It is Grand Slam time.
Knock it out of the ballpark.
That's right. So I know you've got a good story. Give us your success story.
Okay, thank you, Sheryl. My story this week is about how we always talk about networking we're in it for the long term, right?
Right.
Well, I met this business owner last fall, September, and again, did the usual of trying to, build the relationship, doing the follow-up. Again, not pressuring, but he was in one of those things that I picked up from mid-market professionals last week on developing your power team. And this guy owns a commercial sign firm. And so that's kind of one of the primary businesses that I need to connect with. And I just knew that, again, small business owner, he's running around with his head cut off. I've been to his shop. He's got a great organization. He's got great people. And I just said, you know what? This guy is going to be worth it, and I'm going to just take my time. And then last week was the week. And where I went over, and it had been probably 5-6 weeks since I had visited with him, went over to him and said, hey, Abba, it's time we get together. We're trying to do something. It's the new year. And then he just starts talking. Oh, Rob, your timing's perfect. I need to get back into sales, new business development. He says, you know what? And I've got 2 great leads that I need to give to you. And I wouldn't have thought of giving you unless you had showed up today. And again, guys, it just shows what the follow-up is so important. Yeah. And then picking out the right people, too. That can really impact your business. So, Abba wind up getting to know him better.
Yeah.
He actually did me a favor on one of my signs, and I get 2 good leads from him. So,
that's stellar.
Knock it out of the ballpark.
That's stellar. And by the way, Abba did a great job for us too.
Yes.
Really like what he did for the Transportation Club. So I have firsthand experience there. So mine has to do with our guest from a couple of weeks ago, and that was Krista Medlock.
Oh, she was fabulous.
I know,
Fabulous.
absolutely. But it really speaks to you never know where your networking connections are going to come from and where they're going to go to. But to your point, staying in contact with people over the long term has big dividends.
Yes.
Just like investing.
Absolutely.
If you go to an investment portfolio manager, likely they're not going to tell you, hey, get in, I'm going to make you a bunch of money, and you're going to get out with more money. Right. So likely they're going to say, hey, let's talk about long-term goals, and you need to just sit on this for a bit and not get worried.
Right.
And that's kind of how we should look at relationships in networking. So I met Krista, as I'd mentioned before, but in case you missed that episode, I met her in my radio days. So this is probably late into the first decade of the 2000s. So probably around the 2009 or 10 mark.
Okay.
And so she was a client that somebody else had gotten started and left the company. And so I was working with her from a client standpoint, but I just loved where her heart and creativity came from. So then when I launched out in my entrepreneur world in 2013, then she became a really great partner of mine because I could always tap into her thought process because she's just such a high level thinker. And then our paths kind of part ways, and then comes the girl cave, and I kind of help her with some of that. So that was awesome. And then comes COVID, and that disrupted everybody. But we never completely lost contact. That's where this goes.
So good. Yeah.
Now we dial forward to now, and her life has changed a lot. So she's in a whole new season of her life. And so now she brought this up last week. She said, Sheryl, we've always aligned ourselves in regards to our global view of life the same way. But now, for the first time, our professions align and have great collaboration opportunities. And so so I had the opportunity to speak to her group on March 2nd and lead that for Network Today over their luncheon, the speed networking and some of the other networking components. And it was just, how great is that, right? That these relationships, and it kind of refed back into the First United Bank relationship.
Right.
With that new Plano location. So just, I don't know, it might sound a little convoluted, but it's just a beautiful thing when these components of relationships all begin to work together.
Right. Yeah.
And Krista Midlock was a great example of that.
And that's like, well, how we always say it's that we're in networking for the long term.
Yeah.
And that just, there's a proven case right there. And she was so awesome. I just love what I learned so much from that episode with her.
Yeah, me too. So there we go. When we come back, we've got an outstanding guest. You want to stay tuned. And that will be in just a second. And then when we wrap up, we're going to give you some action items.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
All right, special treat in store as we have the lovely, beautiful, talented, and newly employed Heather Hardaway.
Oh, yay! I've had a job. It's just a new job today.
I know. Yeah, so a new adventure.
Yes, very exciting.
New ground to plow. But it's always kind of the same, right?
It's the same job. It's just a different product.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you got a great boss, great company.
Exceptional. Jerry is fantastic. Diamond Blue Air. We do residential and commercial spaces. So any needs you have, give me a call.
That's right.
I'm already a customer.
I like this.
So,
I
hey.
like this about you. Everyone needs air conditioning in Texas.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
it's not even a hard sell. It's just like, can you put me on the schedule now?
Yeah. Let's just take a look and see what we can get done. And behind the Diamond Blue Air is a logistics background, trucking background,
Yes.
furniture background.
Yes.
I love people like Heather because you get a really great, well-rounded discussion about everything, right? It's harder for me when somebody's like, yeah, I've been in financial services for 47 and a half years. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to say. But for you, we could talk about just about anything from decorating to trucking.
Well, depends on what rating you want this podcast to have.
Okay.
So if you want to talk trucking, we might have a nighttime show. On our hands. So
Bill
You never
Mack, the
know.
Midnight Cowboy. We'll tell you why we picked you. So I know you're like, I don't even know
I have no idea why I'm here.
Icebreakers. What? I don't even use one, but you are one. Okay, so here's what Rob and I do. We make a list of all the topics, just every topic we can think of. Then we begin to prioritize based on, hey, these are the things that we really think are bubbling up, the conversations that we're having with people that they really need help on. Icebreakers is one of them when you're working a group, right?
Yeah.
Working a room. Or if you're speaking to a room and you're trying to break that room down, right? Finding ways to break that ice. Well, and we both felt like, man, we need Heather talking about this because you are an icebreaker. You might not say icebreaker, kitschy little like ridiculous things, but that are funny and ice-breaking, but you're naturally you. And so that's why.
Yeah, honesty and sincerity is the best icebreaker you can have anywhere with anyone.
Boy,
So if
take
you
note
can-
on that.
Yeah, if you can just be real, people really respond to that. They don't want to hear the same stupid thing they've heard at every other event they've been to that day. You've got to do something that's going to make them remember you. You got to, I mean, and that's a whole package, not just your icebreaker, but you have to look nice. You have to be nice.
Yeah.
You have to be helpful and just someone that people want to talk to. And that makes your life a whole lot easier. I can't go into a room and just go, what am I going to say to them today? It's you read the room, you figure it out, and you just go in and fall on your face very often. I do. I say some pretty stupid things, but, just admit it and own it and roll on to the next part. Nothing's that detrimental.
You're so resilient. I love it. And let me tell you, so we were at networking groups together last week. I want to say we're like, didn't I just see you? And didn't I just see you? And so, and this particular one, I actually brought Mr. Powers.
Love me some Brett.
I know.
Yes.
He's so awesome. And as a bartender, he's Mr. Chatty, right? He's really great at that conversation stuff. So while I'm working the room, I'm making my way around to different circles. I look over there and you're talking to Mr. Powers. Then I'm working my way around the room and I look over there and you're still talking to Mr. Powers. I say, husband, everybody's left now and it's dark outside and you're still talking to Mr. Powers. And I say that because it's not necessarily about, and he will never forget you. And I mean that in a good way, like not a weird way. Like a good way that he's like, oh my gosh, that Heather, we had the best conversation. That was so meaningful to him who loves conversation. And because you were just you. So,
well, the one thing I've noticed about Heather when I go to, when we go to, Business Pros or even MMP, where you've got, 50, 60, 70 people there, she's a natural because she floats from kind of group to group.
Yeah.
And I've seen her not just stay there in one time.
Yeah.
And that's what's so neat about her, from being able to have like the icebreakers where she can engage in conversation.
Yeah.
But she's meeting a lot of people. So yeah, you do a great job at that.
Thank you.
And you're always smiling. How is that?
I've got a lot to smile about. God is good.
Yeah.
I am just doing a job I love doing around people I really, truly enjoy being around. And there's just nothing to complain about most days. So I'm happy to be alive and kicking. And it's a good day. Every day is a good day if you want to make it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But people feel that from you. And that, I think, is an icebreaker. Right? So if you feel, to your point initially, if you feel that somebody's approaching you and they're phony, like they're just trying to work through it, then that's not an ice. Like the ice is still there. There's an ice block around that person. But you melt that ice just with your warmth. How if somebody's not built for warmth? And I listened to a podcast today. Rob and I are going to talk about this in depth sometime here real soon. It was really good. But they hate networking. They hate meeting people, but they know they have to do it. Like it's their charge. What recommendation do you give to those people who hate networking? It's a chore for them. They're doing it only because they have to. How do they warm up?
Well, I think there's several things you can do. If you are the type of person who is not good at networking, you need to find and hook up with someone who is.
Oh, that's good.
So if you are at these events that you see people that are good and they're doing well, go talk to them. They're going to be the easiest person for you to meet in the room anyway.
Yeah.
So if you meet this person and all you have to do is kind of like that whole thing of, you don't have to outrun a bear if you're with someone else. You just have to outrun them. It's kind of that same mentality. You want to bring them in and run that race for you. And then they were going to want to help you. And I think that people who are really good at networking are very missional about networking. And if you are in that space where you're truly, I want to be that person, and that's my mission, is to be that person that when Rob says, hey, I need this, I'm going to go, I got a guy. That's going to be the thing I want to say to everyone. I can do that for you. How can I help you? And then that's the best thing you can do. If you're shy or if you're stumbling over your words, you just don't like people, that might be a problem, but you just find someone who does.
Well, what Mike Reagan says, if you don't like people, you hire somebody who does.
That was great advice.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And that's why people hire people like me to do that job.
Right.
So.
Well, here's what's nice, too. If you ever want to make a career change, isn't it much easier if people are referring you because they like you and you back up that likability with a real, honest integrity? In your heart that you exemplify day to day.
Yes. And I mean, that's how I got the job because of you. I mean, you thought of me, you thought of Jerry and said, hey, I would like to talk to you, like, come meet this person. And it wasn't even I think that the first day that he and I met, we were not even sure if it was a job interview or just a one-on-one or what, but it was a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. And then it's like, hey, I do have this open if you're open to this. And
Wow.
it took several meetings and a lot of conversations, and just it's good. I mean,
That's
the only
such
way-
a great story.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and that's networking. So
Mhm.
I may be okay to walk in a room, but I also found you.
Mhm.
So you're the person who knows. So if I see you on a schedule, I'm going to go where you are because I know you and I know that you're going to, help me meet who I need to meet in that room, just like I would do the same thing
Mhm.
with you
Mhm.
and whoever is in that room that you know. I mean, that's when you find your partners that are really, really good.
I love that. Oh, man. And I knew that you and Jerry would have a great conversation. This is why we have to have those ancillary conversations, because sometimes it's not about the business at hand. It's not about that one task, that business professional task in front of you. It's about having a conversation on all of the other things that give us some common ground. And I know that you and Jerry probably share the same kind of global view,
Yes.
faith systems, family, and your value systems line up. That alignment's important because all day long, if your resume can say this, but
Yeah.
if the rest isn't in line, then right.
Yes,
All right.
for sure. For sure.
So, Heather's somebody you want to meet, and I'm going to ask you to spell your last name. So it's Heather, like the normal Heather Hardaway, right?
Hardaway. So it's doing things the hard way, away. So it's Hardaway.
I
So,
love it.
Or like Anthony or Penny or however you want to, look at it. That's the other way.
So Heather Hardaway on LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
Is that your best?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. LinkedIn is a good way to find me.
And you got all your
Absolutely.
contact information on LinkedIn, right?
I do.
Because you
have-
attended the LinkedIn workshop, right?
I did. Have
There you
both
go.
of them.
Both of them. All right.
So yes, I do. I have my contact information. I still am updating today.
Okay.
So I haven't finished up
Okay.
updating today, but that's
So give her a little grace. Give her
Yeah.
a little grace. It's
the
just
phone
kinda,
number's the same,
All
but
right.
you'll get me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
That's
Good.
wonderful. And a little known fact as we close out this discussion, a little known fact about yourself that we'd go, wow, that's cool. Are you a world-class snowboarder?
Yeah, right. No, I don't think there's really anything outstanding.
Come on.
I mean, I think I'm pretty
Heather.
transparent, so there's not a whole lot that people
Yeah,
don't
don't
know
know.
about me.
Okay.
So,
What's a funny thing about you?
The funny thing about me is that I am not actually an extrovert. If that is something that,
Okay.
so that might put people at ease too in the networking. I
Yeah.
am an extroverted introvert. I really need and like my downtime and my quiet time and my, my peace. And I can really dig into
Introverted
that.
extrovert.
Yes.
Or is it the other end?
Extroverted
Introvert.
introvert. So
Extrovert.
when
Okay.
I need to, I can do that. Or if I need to pour into something, I can. But I really like my alone time too.
It's why you're so balanced.
Yeah.
You have to
it's
be.
great balance.
Balance is necessary.
Yeah.
That's right. Do you want to get to know Heather? Can't wait to continue our chat and watch you grow and bloom in your new position and beyond.
Thank
right?
you.
Just in life, you're awesome.
Thank
So-
you.
We will be back. So is that a little different of an icebreaker chat than you expected?
Well, it was actually. The term icebreaker, you always think of kind of those one-liners.
Mhm.
But, the way you and her created that conversation, I learned a whole lot, Sheryl.
He did.
I took some good notes there.
He did. Well, I felt like Heather just really embodies just naturally walking up to people and having a real conversation. And it may have nothing to do with business. And they just, whoever she's talking to begins to open up. You just watch it happen. Like their face mirrors her face.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of the icebreaking too, is what's on our face, because they're likely to reflect that.
Well, she talked about, being real, being authentic, being yourself.
Yep.
And I think that's the part of, being part of the icebreaker. Because, people are pretty smart. They'll catch on. They'll see if you're the used car salesman right off the bat.
Yeah.
And again, she is just so warm and real and authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. And that term natural, just being natural, I think that's one of the things that isn't a skill set that we're naturally born with all the time. Maybe we were at some point, we just kind of lost it as we tried to figure out who we are. But she's been through she's had such a varied background and really embraces who she is. And I think that comes through when she's talking to people. So, and that's just a great icebreaker point. So if there's something that you see in her that would say, hey, I really just feel like that's such a point of differentiation, what would that be?
I think with her, it's I think she just has a very positive glow about her.
Yeah.
You know, and she's so sincere.
Yeah.
She's so real that, it kind of melts you.
Yeah.
And, and so the conversation then just becomes so natural, like you said.
Yeah. For me, it's that the thing that caught me when I first met Heather and that's traveled with me through our short relationship. I haven't known her very long, but that's the fact that she smiles all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're somebody who's having a hard time breaking into a networking group and you don't feel like people are responding to you, I know I've probably been this person too. You walk in, you're tired, so many things are on your brain. And so you walk up to people and you're just trying to have a conversation and forgetting to smile. Like if all we did was walk up to people with a big grin, wouldn't that be an icebreaker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that would really, that would break down a lot of walls.
And something too, a big takeaway for me was kind of because she said she's an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she said when she gets there, she kind of observes the room and sort of checks out who is kind of the person of influence there. And then she heads to that group.
Yeah, that is a great point. And the fact that she said, hey, find somebody who's a mentor of yours, kind of a networking mentor if you're new. And I know that's something we've talked about several times, having a networking mentorship, which, hey, you know what? It's going to go on the docket at some point.
Yes.
We'll make that happen because I do think that's really important. So Heather, you were just beautiful and lovely, and we just thank you.
And you were so delightful.
I know. What an honor. And we'll be back. You're smart. You're watching this. But did you know that 2 out of every 3 Americans will deal with a legal issue this year? Half of those will spend 13 days working on those issues. At Empowered Advantage, we help with the stuff of life. Letter M as in marvelous, howardadvantage.com. So we're going to, as we land this plane, give you some good icebreakers and some not so good icebreakers. And then we're going to leave you 3 action items, implementable so you can be a better icebreaker.
Yes.
You can break the ice better. You can. That's right.
It's so important. We've got to, we've got to create that first good impression.
That's exactly right. So you've got a list here of icebreakers that you wrote down. What are some of your favorites there?
Well, I think, again, it's such an important topic because, again, you don't want to just sound clueless or, somebody that's just being a sleazy salesman. So I think to me, it's just like you want to get real and express who your personality is. And so to me, it's like, I think a simple one is like, hey, I haven't seen you here before. Is this your first time here? And who brought you?
Yeah.
Just very simple. And another good one I like about is, once you get to ask a couple of questions, is, what is your secret in being a successful networker?
Yeah.
So get her talking about that. So.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. One of the other things while you're saying that, I was thinking that, do you hate networking? Would be one.
Yes, I got that down here on number 15. I think networking sucks. What do you think?
That's right. That's a good one. I didn't see that on there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So here, going back to this, themuse.com list on networking, it's 30 icebreakers. So if you want to look that up, Google icebreakers, and you can go to themuse.com, and you should see this list. So talks about location. And when you're at a networking event and you don't know really how to engage somebody, because that is tough. Why icebreakers are important is especially if you're in a group where you don't know people and you're trying to find a conversational point, and you're kind of, instead of standing around being awkward, if you can start engaging somebody in a conversation, a real conversation. So I do like the location. So you're talking about something that is right there in that room.
Right.
So in this case, they talk about, how do you like the meatballs? Have you tried them? Okay. Hey, why not? It's simple. It's easy. Anybody can go do that. Hey, how did you hear about this event? Talking about the location. It's really hot or cold in here. I mean, the thing that I would say is a negative to this is that it might take people into a small negative space instead of keeping it a broad, high level, elevated conversation.
What I would say, Sheryl, I like something more on the lines that, what has been your best networking experience? Get them talking about their personal experiences and so on. So make it a little bit more personal. Make it about networking, because that's what we're here, and get them to talk.
Yes. And also too, hey, do you go to other groups? Yeah. And if you do, what are your favorite? Because I'm looking, exactly. I'm making a list.
Great question there.
Great way to open that up.
Absolutely.
So here's an area that I don't know how you feel about this, but it's the area of being newsworthy. So talking about, hey, have you seen today's headlines? I don't know in today's world if that's a good, because you don't know where people sit. You don't want to take them to, maybe they're so mad at the world that again could take them into a deep dive into a negative space.
Yeah, I think, I don't like watching the news anymore. And again, I don't like to really talk about, because it could get into a political situation and so on. So again, I'd rather go back and, by asking them a question like, tell me your best networking success story.
Yeah.
So something along those lines where it's, it's positive, and you're learning about is this person a networker?
Yeah. Well, and I feel from a newsworthy standpoint, kind of Switzerland is LinkedIn. So if I do want to kind of go there, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Let's connect on LinkedIn.
There you go. Great.
And then you can start sharing stories and seeing where you have alignment and collaboration. So great for introverts. So this is one. Number 16. Man, these networking events can be crazy. Do you mind if I join you over here? But you have to be prepared for the answer that could be not the answer you wanted, right? No. That's what they could say. As we're both here at the buffet, I feel I should introduce myself. So, hey, maybe that works. Here's another one. Excuse me, do you know how much a polar bear weighs?
I read that the other day.
Oh my gosh, really? But hey, if it works, if it takes somebody off guard and it's not taking them down into a deep dive in a dark place, then hey, maybe that's okay. And then under funny, it's got something jokey like, hey, I just came for the carrot sticks. I got you laughing.
I like that one. Do you have blue cheese or ranch dressing?
That's right. Did you see the Japanese attack of the raptor office prank video?
What? What? Now, I'm going to go back to some questions that I would like to know from this person. But I'd say, hey, what was your favorite book that you read last year? And did you read a physical book? Was it Kindle or was it Audible?
Yeah.
So now I've asked them a bunch of questions.
Yeah. And I'm thinking for me, especially when I see somebody and they're by themselves, and typically what are we holding in our hand?
The good old cell phone.
That's right. And so I did this at church the other day. Not that it was a networking event, but there was this gentleman sitting in the seat by himself after everybody dismissed, and they're all kind of milling around, and he's just sitting there on his cell phone because you don't want to engage. You don't want to look lonely.
Right.
So we pull the cell phone out so we look like I'm happening. Everybody wants me. I know y'all don't know it yet, but they all want me.
I do that so often.
I just walked over and I said, hey, are you finding anything good on that? Are you looking at reviews? Are you giving a review? Or just something that would make them chuckle a little and kind of get their eyes off of the. Are you getting a cell signal in here? Because I get nada, nothing. So
that's great.
Yes.
I love that.
So helping people with that. There's sometimes, and we talked to Ron Kennedy a lot about this in his working the room. That's an episode. Everybody tells me, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea." I had no idea.
That's in the top 3.
That's right, and that's just walking up and saying, "Hey, I'm Sheryl. I've been here a lot. Is this your first time? Is there anybody else here that you don't know that I can introduce you to?" So I found that to be a really great icebreaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can again Google icebreaker themuse.com or not. It's amusing. So our action items are 3 action items so that we can all be a better networker with our better icebreaker.
Okay. Well, I think the first one is be prepared.
How do I prepare?
You know, I think one of the ways is, again, research the event, who's the host is, what are the demographics of the type of people that are going to be attending the event.
Right.
And then you've got to have that, develop that game plan so you're intentional when you get there rather than just winging it.
Yeah. Yeah. Winging it is rarely a good idea. I do it way too often. But truthfully, if you can do the discipline, the preparation often enough, then you can do less preparation.
Right.
Like if you know the playbook for the football team,
right,
and you practice it enough, then you don't have to keep relearning
it. Absolutely.
So, next
action item is really learn and study some of the icebreakers that we've talked about so that they become a part of your vocabulary, your script. Again, so that, you don't, when you walk up to somebody new, you just don't revert back to, no, where do you work?
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah, what do you do?
So if you're not prepared, if you haven't spent some time going over these icebreakers, you're going to revert back to the stupid ones.
Yeah. Yeah, the putting your hand out, grabbing a business card, and what do you do? Please elevate yourself.
Yeah.
Let's all get past that. All right, action item number 3.
This is one I think is very important. We got to listen.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to have that great icebreaker. We want to ask that great question, but then that sets up. Don't ramble on and on. Stop. And listen.
Yep, because the icebreaker is designed to do just that. So you want to break the ice apart so that you can get to a real conversation. And in order to have a real conversation, you've got to actually be listening to what the response is. And now begin having a discussion about, oh, so do you have kids? Oh, where do you live? Oh, did you go to that school? What's your alma mater? So then you can learn about that person.
Right.
And it should take on a life of its own.
Well, absolutely, because people once you can engage them properly, they love to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so important for us to listen and not, again, try to take control of the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Which is a problem for me sometimes, especially if it's an introvert.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time.
Same thing. Yeah.
Sometimes.
I ramble on and on and on. So, yeah.
Well, you and I are both there, so hey, no worries. Well, we want to hear from you. So if you've got some icebreakers that really work for you,
absolutely,
I'd like to know what they are. That's right. info@networktodaydfw.com. Share with us your icebreakers. And if there's something that we were able to touch on here that you're like, hey, I totally want to now talk to everybody about the Japanese movie about the raptor, and it's working. We'd like to know that too. So thank you, Rob. A great episode on icebreakers.
I loved it.
And we'll be back next week with another great episode of Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money
faster. All right. Have a great week.
This has been a Purple Cow production.